Hey everyone, welcome to part two. Try to make it out early enough to find a sunset, but it is fall now and the sun has set for the most part. Kind of nice outside, but get a good look at the fall leaves. I'm in Alt Park in Cincinnati. If any of you are wondering about the cool view, there's a little bit of sunset colors right there, but you can't see my face very good. So we'll just post up right here, try to get some of the conversation done. First off, I wanted to answer some questions. Lalia, wanted to make sure that I answered yours. It can be really hard to remember things that happen or were going on during a manic episode. A lot of times, I won't remember things that I did or said for like months at a time. And then something will like kind of jolt me back and I'll be like, oh, wow, did I really say that? Or did I really go through that? So that can be kind of interesting. Let's see. And then Max Reyes, you asked me some good questions. You asked me if I accepted my diagnosis at first. No, I didn't. For quite a few years, I was struggling through accepting my diagnosis and really beyond accepting it, just thinking about what that really meant in my life and what it meant for me to be healthy with the diagnosis and to, at this point, really stay out of the hospital and try to do things that, are good for me, which is what part 3 of this video will be about. So I told all of you that I was kind of leery or nervous after my first recording of this video. I thought it'd be a good idea to record in hospital attire and kind of try to normalize that. It didn't work out. I didn't really like it. I like this sort of conversation a lot better. I think it has a lot more weight to it when I can just kind of get to the point. We can look at some nature together, because who doesn't love that? By the way, make sure you're getting outside with just the time period changing and fall coming. Vitamin D is so important, and we need to be able to get outside a little bit throughout the day and just kind of enjoy that. So, all right, and now for the topic of hospitalization. I have been hospitalized for my mental health 4 times now, and all of those times for hospitalization have come from different lessons learned. Some things I'll just refer to as substance use. Some things I'll refer to as interpersonal issues, but I just kind of wanted to touch on loosely just some points that I think are interesting conversation about being hospitalized for mental health. So my first time I was hospitalized, I was seeing a doctor who encouraged me to try going off my medication because I was, as I had learned from Seek and as I had said I was going to bring back up in this episode, I was doing a lot of meditation, I was doing yoga. From another friend, I had learned to eat vegan. And he was like, well, this is probably the healthiest time in your life. It'd be a great time to try going off of your medication. So while this wasn't my psychiatrist, I let my psychiatrist know about this advice. And he said, hey, if you want to try this will be a good time to learn. And boy, did I ever learn. I remember one period before I was hospitalized, being in a UDF, eating vegan ice cream, kind of demanding that they start serving vegan ice cream there. I remember going over to a different aunt and uncle's house and actually having them pick me up from Paul Brown Stadium, where I had actually went out dressed as Buddha Bob and started rapping for people and got a free ticket, but then kind of had an anxiety attack once I got into a booth seating. It just kind of felt like I wasn't supposed to be there, or I had kind of cheated the system a little bit. Get some different colors in the background here. So I went to a first aid office and they, I told them I was going through a mental health incident, and soon enough, they had contacted my aunt and uncle and drove me to Good Sam Hospital, where it's all starting to kind of blur together. But I know on the 6th day there, I asked for my friend Hannah's number to call her, because the only numbers I had memorized were my parents' numbers, and I was starting to feel a little bit isolated, which I'll get into here in another minute. But when I asked for the number, the nurse told me to step back from the nurse's station, and she told me I was taking a shot. I had to take a shot, and I didn't really resist. I just said, I don't want to take a shot right now. I know my patient rights. I'd like to take a shot orally. And she said, no, you're taking a shot. And sure enough, 8 guards held me down in my room. One laid on my face because I was screaming. Mental hospitals are a really weird place, and like, I don't understand. I guess it's the science behind collecting a bunch of people that are going through mental struggle at the same time. I think people can definitely form a sense of community in that way, but that's not where the focus is. It's kind of just on getting people the right medication, getting them out. And if you take a listen to my EP, you can hear my first song is called Held Down, and that's really where the true, authentic, like, I'm going to work on some rap to try to get some of this out there. Sorry, I feel like I'm just in like a random part of the woods. I promise there's a pretty cool view to take to, I don't know. It's not that we need to be pacified to talk about this, but I just think it's nicer to be out in nature, rather than I was cooped up in my apartment and wearing a hospital gown. So, when I'm in the hospital, I see a number of different people. I see people that feel like they're more far gone than where I am, and feel like they're acting completely crazy, like they're shaking things in the room or slamming their plates, or some people that are so depressed that they don't really talk or don't really move. And my hope is that through sharing this, we can start to normalize some of that. And maybe if someone on this channel hears about a friend or an associate that has a mental health crisis, that we can normalize going and seeing them when they're in the hospital, or some sort of like aftercare. Like, we can normalize checking in on people and making sure they're doing okay once they've gone through that sort of thing. So that's really what the hope is. And I apologize, the sun's going down. So quickly, I'll talk about some of my other experiences with hospitalization. One thing to know, if you are ever hospitalized for your mental health, there's a big difference between signing yourself in and having other people sign you in, or not being able to sign in for yourself. That's a big difference between being able to sign out, because if you have someone else sign you in, or you can't sign yourself in, then it's up to medical professionals to sign you out, and you might not always agree with their opinion. Although I do completely acknowledge that I was in very rough shape when I was in the hospital. Let's see. Time number 2 and 3 were substance-related incidents. Just drinking or smoking had led me to a place where my mind wasn't getting enough sleep. I wasn't getting enough of my medication. And it's weird. My last time in the hospital, which is what I just am wanting to share the most, and I know we're getting on into the video, and I don't want to make this too dramatic, but it was during COVID, and people weren't allowed to visit, and we couldn't speak to NAMI, and it felt like the majority of the people who were in the hospital with me agreed that the doctor didn't have their best care in mind. The doctor that I was with in the last hospital I was in was disagreeing with my psychiatrist who had seen me for going on 10 years. And in order to get out of the hospital, I had to take 2 injections for schizophrenia, which is not my diagnosis. While I was acting erratically and had experienced a lot, ultimately that wasn't what I needed. I think, and I apologize if I missed some questions, or I apologized if I kind of sugar-coated over some of the experience, because I can assure you those experiences were the single most life-changing and life-defining experiences that I've ever been a part of. But really what I hope that we can normalize is starting to be aware that 1 in every 5 people experiences serious mental health in their life. I think we should start normalizing what the signs of someone going through crisis are and recognizing those signs. And I think we should really, truly start to normalize just ways that society can help check in on each other. I mean, we have these phones that are so interconnected, and the internet is making us feel connected more than ever, but really the power of a hug can super go a long way. And the power of just someone's presence in a hard time can go a long way. So I want to leave with I now am able to acknowledge that the biggest thing for sleep or for staying out of the hospital is sleep, staying on my medication, eating a balanced diet, avoiding the overuse of any substance. And I know there's a few people who still follow me from me being having met in the hospital, and I want to just encourage those people to share what they feel is relevant about their journey and help people recognize that sometimes mental health crisis is invisible, and sometimes people struggling just need someone to hang out with. That's what I found after I left the hospital and I stayed in contact with people, is that, a struggle is a normal thing. It's normal as having a crisis with diabetes, and what people really need to look at is what they can do afterwards to help people feel healthy. So I love y'all. Feel free to ask some more questions. Again, I feel like I'm kind of skating over some things, but this is what I feel comfortable sharing right now. So if you want to poke and prod at me, I'm a pretty open guy. So maybe we can figure out what I need to wrap up in part 3, which will be how to heal after a mental health crisis. Thanks again. Peace and love.